In this video, I'm trying to explain you what's going on in contract law. A contract, basically, when you do anything, when you sign anything, and even you order something from Amazon, or you're buying something, including buying a house, it's a contract law issue. If anything happens, if anything goes wrong, the contract law, based on what we have in the U.S. and and as well in Canada, then you can apply those rules and help yourself. By knowing what's going on in contract law, even if you decide to hire a lawyer, then you can have a clear understanding of the process and clear understanding a chance of your success on that legal dispute. Contract in the US and in Canada the same. It's a common law thing. So it's somehow created by courts. And there are rules, there are codes, there are some provisions, but mainly they are common law rules. So it's not like many other things, many other area of law. Contract law, it's when you have any problem, you need to find out what was the last ruling in a higher court about the same scenario, same situation. And beside this, as I said, there are codes and there are provisions and law, and then you can use it. So in US, there are two different type of contract. Common law contract, which is generally applied to all type of contract, and then as a part of this, there are a different type of contract, which is a contract for a called merchant. Merchants are who are doing a business of selling goods and selling products and services, but they are not just like anybody else. They are doing this for living. They are doing this as a business. So there are different rules applied to them. For example, when you go to Costco, or when you go to Amazon, or you go to any of these suppliers or stores, big stores, then you buy something, that's different. That's different rules applies, which usually is very restricted, which usually support consumers. So if you dealing with them, it's different from dealing with someone else. Let's say I'm going to buy a piece of art from an artist. If you buy that piece of art from an artist, it's going to be a common law contract, because that artist is not dealing this type of business other than selling his art, right? So the situation is, if that artist running a studio and then has a business and many arts, it's his arts and everybody's arts, and then they put it there, and then you go and buy, that will be again a different type of contract. So first thing is, in a contract law, it's who's you are dealing with. That's a buyer or a seller or a service provider. Who's that person? So first things, you must determine, or your lawyer or attorney must determine, what type of person you are dealing with, because it's help you to understand your legal right and their duty. The second part is, after you figure it out, then you need to go know and understand, for a contract to be valid, what are the criteria? On a common law, it's different. In a common law contract, it says it can be even sometimes based on the contract value or topics. It can be even non-written. It can be a just verbal contract. So again, you need to understand what are the requirements of having a valid contract. If that valid contract it meets all the requirements, then you can understand there is a binding contract for both parties. From other side, when you deal with merchant or those sophisticated business providers or as good sellers, that's different. That can be different thing. So formation of a contract is the base. You must check. You must understand the contract is formed and enforceable or not. For a contract to be enforceable under common law, there must be a party, there must be a subject, there must be a consideration. Consideration is the value. I'm giving you something, you're giving me something. I'm giving you this camera, and then you're paying me for the value. That's a consideration. And then again, the party must have a capacity, must have that enough understanding of what they're doing. You cannot make a deal with a kid. You cannot make a deal with someone it has a mental issue. So those are the things in terms of the capacity of a party of the contract. Why I'm explaining this? Because these are your defense. So you should understand the person you're dealing, the party of the contract, they have legal capacity to doing that contract with you, to doing that, they having that promise or obligation or whatever the subject of the contract is, they are legally entitled to do it. So that's a part. Why explaining? As I said, because when you are in a contract dispute, these are the things you need to check. If those are okay, then you need to find something else, right? So if the contract is not enforceable at all, so there is no contract. So first thing is you need to ask the court, I want this contract to be declared as invalid, and then if there is some consideration and some fees and then other things, so you can ask for different remedy from the court, not based on a contract because you don't have a contract. So again, that's a different thing. One of the major thing is there are type of contract. For example, they call, let's say you want to buy a land, you want to buy a real estate. Those contract has to be written. If you buy a goods, $500 more value, it has to be written. Otherwise, you cannot enforce it. So these are things you need to understand. Each type of contract, they have a specific requirement. So each contract, you need to understand all these elements. Beside this, the thing is, let's say the contract it's valid, everything is fine. So, and the other party didn't do what it promised. What you can do? The other party maybe didn't do it because have some justification. So they call defense to not performing. So I didn't perform, because you didn't pay me. I didn't perform. I didn't pay, for example, for a specific product because it doesn't meet what I wanted. For example, you're ordering something from Amazon or from some other, any other online or in store, and then you go home, open it, and you see it's not good. How you bought this? You bought it in installment, for example. You didn't pay whole thing. You just pay partially. And then you say, oh, I don't want this. And then you want to return it. And then if anything goes wrong, then again you can use this defense to stop uh, obligating to or enforcing the contract against you. So again, there are many things. For example, for service contract, you hire someone, you hire a lawyer to do a job for you, and then uh, there are obligations for both parties. And then if lawyer fail to do something or a client fail to do something, then those are first things you need to check: is there any defense or not? If there is a defense, then there are some other uh, consideration and any other things has to be done before going to the court. So what I'm trying to say is, if you have a contract dispute, first question is, do I have a valid contract? That's the first thing. One of the topic right now, for example, in a very popular topic, it's unconscionability. The contract signed, one party has more power. For example, you go to the car dealership, they give you a bunch of documents, 1,000 pages, and then ask you to sign in 15 minutes. Basically, you cannot read the whole contract, whole thing, all those disclaimers. So that will be one of the ground you can question a validity of that contract. So when you make it clear to yourself, yeah, I have a valid contract, then you will see the next level, move to the next level, saying, okay, the contract is valid, but there is a breach or not. If there is a breach in a contract, then you say, is there any defense for that breach? So if there is a justification for that breach. If yes, then again, the chance of success in a legal dispute, in a contract dispute in a court, is very low. So that's another thing you need to consider. And then if there is no defense, that's what a contract dispute lawyer is looking for. So we have a contract first, all criteria met, and then it's enforceable, and then there is a breach, and that breach is not justified. So these are main questions you need to go through before deciding getting in a dispute, legal dispute, with the contract issue. I hope this information I provided to you be helpful and useful. Again, this is just a brief information, and if you need any more information, you can call us, or you can fill up the inquiry form, and then we will call you back and give you 15-minute free advice.